Hello everyone, I'm Dante from Low Manor and welcome to another This Week in Anthem. Here I run through all the news, updates, interviews and community spotlights that you should be checking out each week. This week we're kicking off with another look at the constant, albeit slower, AMA taking place on the Twitterverse. Back onto the topic of gear as we seem to do every week. This time we get a small clarification which I don't recall being asked about, or at least answered before. Will gear need to be repaired, get damaged from extended abuse? The answer is pretty simple. No, there aren't repairs. Doesn't sound like much, but it's actually pretty important to the gameplay loop. You'll often find repairs used as a form of punishment for death or being hit a lot, with the primary reason for repairs being as a resource dump. In my opinion, I've always seen it as a lazy way to balance in-game economies. Generally, you should not be designing one of your core resources to either be useless or artificially gated by playing the game. I feel if you need to do this, you're undervaluing the core resource, whether that be gold, salvage or any other currency. Hopefully what this means is that core currencies of the game all have tangible purposes, being used to buy upgrades, basic parts, consumables and even cosmetics. I just hope we don't go so far with different resources that we need a wiki page to understand what any of this means, but I don't see them going to that extreme. Next on Twitter we have another minor update in terms of abilities, specifically for the Ranger. Will the Ranger be the only Javelin who has access to grenades? Surprisingly, the answer is yes. Apparently the time we saw the Interceptor throw a frost grenade and swoop in to save the Ranger, artistic license. Not a bad thing, just a little bit of a surprise, and another lesson not to take everything you see too literally, even if it is all you have to talk about. So if grenades in general are Ranger specific, I'd expect to see a lot in terms of variety. If it's going to be a unique feature to a class, you better run with it. We've spoken previously about ranking systems, speedrunning and score attacking in Anthem, and along these lines, Mark has confirmed we will be getting some form of score screen at the end of each mission. Time spent, kills, damage dealt, death, etc. per person. Not a shock, but good to know we won't just be going from mission to mission, but we can compare ourselves to the rest of the team and hopefully against the rest of the world. Not a shock, but good to know we won't be just going from mission to mission, but we can compare ourselves to the rest of our team and hopefully against the rest of the world. This instantly makes me think of Rift score screens you get in Diablo 3, giving your difficulty, time for completion and compared against your friends, along with a world ranking for those really pushing the limits. Fingers crossed for a Shaper Storm version of the Rift mechanic, greater Rift Storms, even better. Back to items before I fall into a Rift Shaper Storm rabbit hole, will there be scopes in Anthem? Yes, which we already knew. Otherwise the sniper rifle they've mentioned might struggle a little bit, but that doesn't mean they're the only ones. I can certainly see scoped rifles and other guns being included. I'm not sure about why, but I really want a scoped pistol from Halo 1, possibly because it was stupidly powerful. Lastly, we're touching back onto the Elder game, although what that actually means is still shrouded in mystery until our update later this summer. Someone asked if in the Endgame, is there going to be one activity that drops the best gear or multiple activities to add variety? We know the loot won't be locked entirely to certain locations. This could mean any loot could drop anywhere, or that they are connected to something, such as stronghold loot dropping from any stronghold, or certain items only dropping from certain enemy types, Dominion, Scar or monstrosities. Mark's answer, different activities are optimal for different things. This is leading towards the above and reinforces other tweets we've seen before when it comes to exploring the world. BioWare has previously stated during interviews that one of the best ways to collect resources for crafting would be to go through the open world rather than missions themselves, along with being the best way to find Easter eggs and hidden lore in the world, with missions, strongholds and raids, ways to get equipment and schematics. Enough of Twitter and onto Reddit, which is actually related to Twitter, but that's not the point. Onwards. So Mark tweeted something a little cryptic. 12 is the largest single syllable number in English. 2 is the only even prime. Coincidence? No, because those things aren't even related to each other. Some are speculating that this is a hint at a release date for the demo, which actually might be onto something, with the date the 12th of February 2019. To me that date doesn't make any sense. One, that's the European form of the date, and secondly, that's only 3 days before the early access launch of Anthem. So if this really is a teaser date, the 2nd of December makes much more sense, even if it's a little close to the holidays. It would make some more sense in terms of a beta test, so there's at least some time to test the server stability, show off all 4 Javelins, try out the loot system and tease some sweet lore. Now what do I think we'll actually get to see in the demo? If I'm being somewhat realistic, I don't think it's going to be huge. although I'd be more than happy to be proven wrong. I suspect we'll see the same gameplay we've seen so far, with the Scars and Villainy mission leading into the Stronghold, but with a few tweaks, access to all the Javelins at a minimum. I would like them to expand the interface slightly so that you can try out the Forge, maybe have a few options to choose from, both Colossus for example. It would also be nice if you had the chance to replay the demo but keep the loot you've already received from previous runs, so that we can again try out the loadout system and get a better look at how it all works firsthand. An alternative to the demo we've already seen could be the tutorial style introduction in the game, which is another minor thing confirmed on Twitter this week. A lot of the game demos, especially those that are more aimed at promotion than actual testing, tend to lean towards the start of the game. A, because it leads players in nicely, teaching them the basics from some relatively safe and simple gameplay, and B, because it's incredibly safe in terms of spoilers, both for the late game and lore in general. This is exactly what Destiny 2 did, and it was a great piece of marketing, although not all good in ways for the consumers. It was very easy to gloss over the concerns we had with the game back then with, well, it's only the start of the game. It will get better later. I hope they don't take this approach, but who can say at this point? Until we actually get to see the game and try it out for myself, I'm going to remain cautiously optimistic. As always, I like to cap off the news, even if it is a little scarce these days, with a community spotlight. This time you should go check out the Freelancer Codex, one of the oldest podcasts running for Anthem. They run a weekly podcast that you can submit questions to via Twitter and Facebook. If you haven't already, be sure to go check out their website and give it a listen. So that's it for this week's roundup. Let me know what you think about any of the news covered today and feedback for this week in Anthem that you have. As always, you can check out the links to everything I've covered in the description below. If you enjoyed this episode, then please leave a like, or a dislike if you prefer. You can subscribe to support the channel and hit the bell for notifications. But until next time, I've been Dante, thanks for watching.